Well, everybody, thanks for coming. Just a reminder, the game this week is SEC Network, 7:30 Eastern Time up in Columbia. Good. There you go.
Thanks. Had to watch the tape Sunday, and a lot of analysis on it, and had a chance to correct some things today and move forward. We're excited for our SEC opener, be on the road against a very good Missouri team. Very up-tempo offense and very disruptive defense they've got. I think they do a great job. They always have. Coach Odom does a great job defensively. He's always been a good defensive mind in his conference. And they've got a great offensive coordinator in Josh Heupel, who has done a tremendous job at really fast-paced offense. So with that, we'll open up questions.
Kirby, you may tell me I'm making way too much of this, but through a couple of games, Nick's yards per carry and some of his bigger runs have been when Grayson is at quarterback. Do they have a better chemistry since they've been around longer, or does it have more to do with the way the plays have been blocked?
Yeah, I think it has a lot more to do with the ways the plays have been blocked. I don't think any defense is changing based on the quarterback right now in that situation. I think that Nick's had some good runs. He had some good bounce-out runs. He had a lot of places to go the other day. He had some good bounce-out runs even when Jake was in there. So I think that's probably too much related to it.
As far as looking at the film and what can be done on blocking, I think you mentioned that it wasn't just the front five, it was the whole way. What do you plan, what can be done this week, especially when it's
well, the number one thing is improvement in how you block, get your second step on the ground, making sure that we get movement, playing harder with a little more energy and enthusiasm will be the number one challenge to make sure that the temperament's good and the enthusiasm and energy is good. I think that a big part of the offensive and defensive line is toughness and strike, and we didn't do that Saturday. We're moving on from that now, and we've got to go out and do a better job against a really good Missouri defensive line. We present a lot of the same challenges. Athletically, they're a very athletic group, very active group, very disruptive group. A lot of people tackles for loss and movement. They do a good job of doing that. So that would be the challenge for moving forward. We show improvement.
Coach, if I could ask you to expound on the quarterback competition going into this week. Obviously, you have a chance now to review the tape that Hal Eason did. And what will you be basing on which quarterback gives you the best chance to win? And could we anticipate based on the way things are going, that we'll probably see two quarterbacks in this game?
Yeah, it'll be based on how practice goes and how our game plan goes. As we put the game plan together, that's not in place right now. As we put the game plan together and figure out which ways we want to strategize, which way we want to attack, who's going to be better at doing that. And that'll play itself out during the week over the course of today, tomorrow, Wednesday. I mean, every team in the country has a way they go about getting prepared. You have a formula for the week of what you're going to do on Monday, what you're going to do on Tuesday, what you're going to do on Wednesday, and then you review that on Thursday. So we'll do that same process. We'll figure out which guys can give us the best opportunity. They're both going to rep, both continue to rep, and figure out which one's going to give us the best opportunity to win. Reviewing of the game film, it was exactly like we thought. We didn't have a lot of places to run the ball. Jacob made some mistakes, but he also made some really good plays. I mean, Grayson came in, and for a guy that came off the bench, did a great job manufacturing a third down, a bad snap, made a great read, made a good throw. He did what we asked him to do, so I was very proud of how he managed the situation that he was brought into.
Coach, does Jake have the full playbook taken in already? And if so, how comfortable are you with him checking plays and doing everything from line of scrimmage?
Yeah, he's got everything that Grayson's got. It's just a matter of what we're doing to play. We don't go into a game with a full playbook. So, I mean, nobody's got the full playbook for one game. But he's done everything that Grayson's done. There's nothing that we hold back from him. He's certainly not as advanced as Grayson and as comfortable as Grayson at doing some of those things, but we don't hold anything back from him.
Kirby, how much of the run game issues do you look at the blocking, and how much is just the numbers they had in the box making it very challenging?
Well, it's always a numbers game, but to be honest with you, North Carolina had just as many in the box as these guys did. So there's not a difference in perspective of counting people in the box. People are always going to put more than you can block in the box. They have to. that'll force you to throw the ball. And it's the same thing we do defensively as well. So the bottom line is we got some perimeter runs that weren't blocked very well. We got some inside runs that weren't blocked very well. And we got to block better. And we got to do a good job mixing it up and giving them an opportunity to take some shot plays and take advantage of those. Because when you don't take advantage of those, then you're behind the sticks. So it's a simple game. If you can block, you can tackle, if you can run the ball, it makes it really easy to play, to make the calls on offense. And if you can't do that, it makes it very frustrating.
Kirby, early on in camp, I asked you several times about leaders, and you were searching then, and it sounds like you're still searching. How's that coming along, and how do you teach that to guys that might not be natural-born leaders?
Well, I think you coach it. You work hard at it. It's an evolution of leadership for this team. It's always that case. Every team I've ever been on was at a different degree of leadership. And I certainly think this one is struggling to find that. Guys are getting comfortable in their roles. They're still figuring out who they are. Some guys are more comfortable than others. I thought it was a great added bonus to get Sony back from an energy standpoint and from the standpoint of he's a really good leader. Sony's a guy that has shown me that he's not afraid to be vocal. And that's important because once one guy gets comfortable, a lot of times it's contagious. And you need more guys comfortable speaking up, saying how they feel, making sure practices are done the right way. What are your practice habits? How good are the look squads? And demanding that stuff get done. Because as coaches, we can beat them over the head, keep screaming about it, but at the end of the day, the ownership comes from the players. And we've really tried to develop that over the last 7, 8, 9, 10 months, even trying to get that developed.
Coach, as somebody who's been in the SEC for a while, and as somebody who's seeing this situation with fresh eyes, would you describe Georgia's talent as league average, better than league average?
I don't get into comparisons. I don't think comparisons are fair, so I'm not going to assess talent level. I don't think that's a fair statement. I think at some positions it's better, some positions it's not as good, but at the end of the day, we've got good football players on our team and in our program, and we'll continue to recruit really good football players and coach them to do the best job they can. My number one goal and focus is on getting this team ready for this game, and I want them to be prepared to play in a raucous environment because that's what it is up there. They do a great job. They got passionate fans, and we've got to turn our focus to playing well in this game.
After looking at the video, Coach, what's your assessment of the defense on Saturday?
Well, some plays that got out on us. They did some things that we had not seen before, not seen them do, and that's credit to them. But at the end of the day, I would like to dominate the line of scrimmage more than we did. They didn't kill us in the run game, but they had a couple of plays. They did a nice job of the RPOs, pulling the ball. The quarterback having the option to throw. We misfit a couple things, and they hit a couple wheel routes outside. So at the end of the day, I thought the guys actually executed better than they did against North Carolina, but we should have dominated completely up front and didn't always do that. So we got to do a better job of that.
After having some time to reflect on the game, for you and the coaching staff, do you think back of anything during last week that you could have maybe done differently to maybe have a different approach from your players?
No, I don't think so. I think the biggest thing is making sure they're prepared, making sure each guy understands. We stressed the importance all week, good practices. We didn't get great practices every day, but at the end of the day, that comes from within. It comes from great leadership, and we got to get better leadership. We got to get better looks from the look squads. But at the end of the day, each kid's got to take ownership. There's responsibility, and each coach has got to take ownership in his group. And we got to do a great job as an organization, starting with me, of motivating the players to play well. Like I said before, we're moving on to Missouri. We got to do a great job this week. I'm concerned with this week. More and more, you see people not play to the level of their capability in a game like that, and it shouldn't be that way. But it is what it is, and it's in our past. We have got to move on to Missouri and get ready for this game.
Getting back to the front, what are some of the problems that a guy like Harris can cause for you, but even behind him, a guy like Shearer as well?
Yeah, very active, very athletic. Those guys are disruptive in what they do. They're really explosive. They know what they're going to do, and they do it well, and they do it really fast. So those guys do a really good job of being disruptive, and both of them have played what seems like forever in this conference. Good players.
Kirby, how far away is Jacob from being able to run the 4-minute offense like you want? And do you worry about his confidence when you make a move to bring Grayson
No,
up?
I don't. He understands the situation in each game. I think Jacob is very confident in himself. That's not something that he lacks the confidence in. And he's shown improvement in those areas. He'll continue to do so, and we'll continue to work with him.
Kirby, as far as Saturday, you talked about trying to keep it positive. How did yesterday's film watching go, and how do you do positive when you still got to do some reinforcement?
Well, we didn't get to watch film yesterday with the players. Sunday's the players' day off, so we don't get to see that. We can do a lot more of that today. But as far as being honest is my best quality with the team. They know that I've been very honest with them. And I'm going to be honest today when I tell them that we didn't play with the energy and enthusiasm. We started out really good, and I think everybody relaxed. When you go out and you have a score on the first possession, and then you have a turnover on defense, and everybody just kind of relaxed. And that's typically the games I've been in. When those guys stay in the game, those teams stay in the game, and Nicholls did a great job of doing that. They play with more and more enthusiasm, and your team gets tighter and tighter. But once again, we're focused on Missouri and going forward.
Kirby, Jonathan Ledbetter, so 2 games will he play this week?
No.
Kirby, getting back to the quarterback, do you feel any sense of urgency to get that nailed down?
I feel a sense of urgency to get the best guy on the field to give us an opportunity to win each game. So if that means getting one guy ready, then that's what it would be. But right now, we're not in a position to do that. Right now, we're in a position where we've got 2 quarterbacks that are both developing, both are part of the game plan, and we want to continue to do that. It's a situation where if one guy dominates during the week, that guy will play. But within every game, we've got a situation where another quarterback has to be ready. You've got to have 2 quarterbacks ready for the most part anyway. We just want to get the best guy out there that gives us the opportunity to win based on that game plan.
One follow-up to that, not to harp on, I know something that came up Saturday, but any plans for any of those guys to speak any time in the near future to the media?
Yeah, we talked about this. Jacob's not speaking right now. He's a true freshman. Not many of those true freshmen are speaking. And with Grayson right now, he's not the leader. He's not the starting quarterback. He's a very good influence on our team. He's done a great job being positive. But that's a decision that I've made and that I stand by. But right now, we're not putting those guys out there.
Coach, you talked about getting Sony a handful of snaps, getting more confidence in this past Saturday's game. Do you envision an increased role, a bigger part of the offense this coming week?
Yeah, he was a big part of last week's, and it just didn't get to fruition. Some of the plays he had weren't set up for what they were doing defensively, which was a little bit different than what we had seen before. But yeah, Sony will be a big part of all the special teams. He'll be special teams. He'll be running back. Everything that he can do, he's clear to do. So we want him to start being a bigger part of the role. And he's done a lot of that in the practice leading up to now. It's just a matter of getting cleared. So it's not like it's the first time he's done it. He's going to be a guy that's doing it more and more now. We're happy to have him.
Kirby, how much are you balancing watching Missouri from last year? I know they played a great defensive game here, and then what they've done the first 2 games. And if you could tell the difference, I know they've been giving up a little more yards and points than they typically did last year. I don't know what that difference so far.
Yeah, well, they got a lot of guys back. They got 5, 6 guys back on defense, so a lot of that will carry over. But you always put more stock into what they're doing this year because we got 2 good games on that. But to have enough information. We've got other things on them offensively, and we've got other things on defensively. We'll watch both of those.
Hey, Coach, with the distractions possibly this week of being a night game, first road test, first SEC game, does something else have to be said to your team about keeping focus on the task at hand?
No, I think that's the exact things you just said. It's the first road game in the SEC. We got to be focused on that. We got to go play with confidence. We got to play in an environment that our kids aren't used to yet. So it's a big part of it. The Georgia Dome was loud, but it was not as loud as it's going to be up there, especially when we got the ball. So I think anytime you play on the road in the SEC, you've got to take those distractions into consideration.
Should we anticipate to see the current setup of Reggie Davis and Brendan Douglas still double deep during kickoff returns?
Yeah, I don't see that changing anytime soon. The big thing is we've got some other guys that are going to work back there. We've been working other guys back there. We've got what we call the off returner. We got 3 guys that rep over there with Brendan Douglas. So we'll continue down that road and have a couple more guys available.
Coach, you had you're facing a quarterback, Drew Lock, that had a very good game, last 2 games. Can you kind of characterize the performance of your secondary through the first 2 games?
Yeah, we've been challenged, especially in the first game in the secondary from the standpoint of matchups, and it'll be very similar to this game. They've got very explosive wideouts. They do a good job of using those guys. They're a little unorthodox in some things they do offensively, and even some of the splits they take, but they do a great job of going really fast, and this quarterback has been really impressive. The West Virginia game, not for the turnovers, they have a lot of success. They turn the ball over a couple times, but this guy's really impressive. He throws a great deep ball. He's got great touch, basketball player. He's a lot better athlete than you give him credit for. So this quarterback, to me, has been really impressive for a guy that I had not seen before.
Kind of piggybacking, Coach, on the special teams question. Isaiah McKinney had the fumble punt and then just you wanted to kick off. Is that an issue you've been seeing in practice leading up, and how concerned were you about that moving forward?
Well, I'm very concerned. I was very concerned coming into the season. It's an area that we've worked really hard on. He's called more punts than I've ever seen a guy catch punts, and he's got to play a little confidence. He knows he's a good returner. He's got to make good decisions and be confident about it and be able to do it in the clutch. And I think he knows that. He's got to do a better job, and we'll attack that again the next couple of weeks and having him catch a bunch of them. That's the biggest thing, is getting confident in yourself that you can do it when it's on the line and it means the most.
Coach, how pleased with you with the ability of the defense to create turnovers and especially return that one for a touchdown?
Well, I'm very pleased with that because we didn't have any turnovers against North Carolina, but we've got to do a better job of setting change. I think we had 17 points or something scored after turnovers. We've got to be able to go out and put the fire out. I think that's a measure of any great defense, is how do you respond when things go bad. When they get an interception returned down to whatever yard line, you hold them to a field goal. That's what you've got to do every time they start inside your area. And we didn't do a great job of that the whole day, but we did create and generate some turnovers, which we've got to do. We've got to do that defensively. We've got to be disruptive enough to get some balls off people and intercept some balls.
Coach, pretty obvious that Trent had a good game. Trent Thompson had a good game this past Saturday with 11 tackles. Could you just talk a little bit more about him in depth of what you're seeing from him, and then in context of the line as a whole? Obviously, you played those young guys a lot this past Saturday.
Yeah, we had 7, 8 defensive linemen play anywhere from 20 to 40 snaps. So we're trying to keep those guys fresh, play a lot of them. Trenton's come a long way, and he still has a long way to go. Trenton's best attribute is his quickness, and he plays really hard. It's important to Trenton that he play well. We've really, and Coach Rocker's worked really hard with Trenton on using his technique, where he uses his hands more and strikes more because he's really athletic. He's able to run some plays down that most 300-pounders can't do. And some of his best plays have come when the ball spit out or broke out on us. Trenton gives great effort and runs it down, which is why he had the stats he had. 11 tackles. Anytime you got that, he's chasing balls down. So he was a guy that has always played with good effort. We challenged him to play with much better technique, as we have every player on the defense. Because when we break down, it's usually technique. That's where we struggle right now, is to not play with great technique. We got to improve that at every position.
Coach, I was really good with McGraw in practice, and for somebody who played a lot last year, what's he going to need to do to maybe see the field on defense more?
Well, Rico has been battling an injury first and foremost. He's got to rehab that, continue to get better there, and I think the more he rehabs the injury, the better he can practice. And Rico's got to help us on special teams in a lot more ways, because he's got good size, he's a good tackler, so we've got to get him to improve his special team use, and then he's got to practice better in order to get in games, and that's one of the key areas we've challenged him on. He's got to be able to practice better in order to get in the game, and he's got to be able to sustain with his shoulder, and that's a big part of where Rico is.
Receivers, watching film, what do you think they're doing as far as separation? Are they getting enough, or is that an issue?
Well, it's always an issue at receiver. Any team you play, anytime you've got a group that's on your team, you're looking for separation. You're looking for a guy that can beat you deep. You're looking for a guy that can come out of breaks. You're looking for a guy that can block when he's asked to block. And the physicality right now at receiver is not what it needs to be. We've got to block better, and the big part is separation, but more important to me is their ability to, when we spread people out, to go block people and go hit them. Because if they can't do that, then we can't put them on the field. And we've got some guys who can get open, who can separate, but they've got to have more than one purpose. There's only one ball on the field, and it can only go to one person. The other 10 or 9, when you take the quarterback out of it, have got to block somebody. And that's an area where we've got to improve a wideout. They got to improve their physicality, not just their ability to get open.
Got time for one more question? Anybody?
Kirby, how did Jacob do in terms of finding the right receivers? So when we looked at film,
He's good at times and poor at times. I think he gets rushed at times, and he doesn't always have his eyes in the right place, but there were a lot of times he showed a lot more improvement from the North Carolina game to this one, and the things he looked at, the management of the huddle, and he's got to continue to improve in that area. But he did it right some, and he did it wrong some. But so did Grayson. So there we lay. Go forward, keep getting better, coach these guys up, and demand that they do it right and come out and have some good energy and passion in practice so we can carry that over the game. Thank you, guys.
thank you.